I'm very happy to be in the great company of Sergio Purtell, who moved from his native Chile to the United States in 1973. He received a BFA in photography from Rhode Island School of Design and an MFA from Yale. Then you went on to teach photography until you moved to New York City in the mid-80s. As a fine art photographer, you have exhibited worldwide, and in the 90s, you turned to commercial photography for a time. You worked with design studios, prestigious magazines, and publisher. And then the love for fine art printing prevailed, and in 1996, you opened Black and White on White print studio, where a lot of really established and important photographers print. Especially, for example, the Walker Evans estate. The studio is located in Bushwick, Brooklyn, and you continue your collaboration with other photographers. But now, thankfully, to the wonderful publishing house, STANLEY BARKER, you have started also to publish your own works, an archive, and this is very exciting, and it's really, really strong work from the 70s. And the very first curiosity that I had when I read about your story, I read that you were an exchange student in the U.S. in '72. Yes. So just a year before the lovely Augusto Pinochet coup d'etat happened. And then so immediately after you went back to the U.S. And so I was wondering how this abrupt change in the perspective of your gaze happened, and what it entailed in terms of image making from being an exchange student to like an exile person that had no other option than to stay in the U.S.
Yes. The first thing is I believe in fate. Things happen all around, all the time. And I was given an option, a possibility that not many people have, which was to travel abroad. And the family that took me in Ohio, Hamilton, Ohio, said, if you ever want to come back, you have a home here. It all was very attractive because I was young and I love the American music. I love the fact that it was a democratic country, and that it sort of, I mean, that's changed, but it gave possibilities to, at the time, to people that were migrating from other countries. And all this happened very quickly. I was politicized at a very early age because they're very powerful forces, especially from the United States, did not want a socialist in Chile running the country, even though it was elected by the people. So Kissinger and the CIA and Nixon made a point of changing that. When I got here, sorry, we're in Paris now. When I got there, I had no idea that I wanted to be a photographer. I knew I wanted to be an artist. In Chile, I was studying architectural design. And the reason also why I came to United States, or went to United States, sorry, is that my father was American. My father traveled in the 50s, 1954, from Alaska to Chile on a motorcycle. which it was something very difficult to do at the time because there was no Pan American Highway. My father met my mother. They got married and basically did what, unfortunately, a lot of men do. He basically left my mom pregnant, and he said, I'll be back. I'm just going to go and close my affairs, and I'll be back. But he never did. So I grew up with this fantasy of who my father was, and this sort of, I'm sure that, you know, he's just a fine man, and he's just busy, and so on and so forth. When I came back, I actually found my father, and actually I found that I had a half-brother. And my half-brother took me under his wing. And my father, who I jokingly like to say, I received, I'm an artist because he was a con artist. But that's just a joke, by the way. And so, you know, my life has never been prepared or organized, and the ending up in going to art school was because my brother said, you know, you should go back to college and finish your architectural design degree. And when I entered my first college, I fell in love instantly with photography. And the reason why I fell in love with photography is because I've always been fascinated with the world as is around us. And once I started making pictures, I saw that I didn't have to spend hours and hours in front of a table drawing plans for houses and buildings and things that have no life. Well, I mean, maybe they have some life. But the love was instantaneous. And I think that that is, in a way, why my first book was called Love, Labor, because it takes work to maintain the love of something or someone. And when I started making pictures, I was not thinking about any of these things. I was making pictures because I love being in the world, making pictures of the things that were happening at the time. So to jump forward to the book, this book, Moral Minority, it came absolutely intuitively. In other words, I didn't plan that the book would come out at the same time that United States was going backwards. When I came, United States was very different. I almost ended up in Vietnam because my father, being American, fortunately he married my mom, so it's easier to escape to United States. But the minute I got to United States, United States was in Vietnam, so I was called immediately. Fortunately, the war ended shortly after that. So as you can see, it's sort of like a net, a woven net. My life, things coming from left and right, and I had to figure out a lot of the stuff on my own. The pictures that are in the moral minority were done between 1977 and into the last time, the last picture was done around the 90s. It is truly by chance that the narrative of the book is so similar to what happened at the present time in the United States. In other words, things sometimes they seem like they're changing, and then they're not. And I think that that was what I was able to deliver with the book. But it wasn't, it was only by fate, not by me being in tune with, with the world in a way that I could control things and that they would manifest in the reality that that was around me. So,
I'm intrigued,
go ahead.
if I may say, I'm very intrigued by the title.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
could say a few words about it.
The moral minority comes out of the moral majority, which was an evangelical creation in the United States, which the Republican Party appropriated to sort of strengthen their popularity and also divide the people. And the reason why I called it the moral minority is that if there is a moral majority, there has to be a minority somewhere. And that association is seen in the pictures because as United States might sound, right? United States is a very divided country. And the Republican Party has, I'm not going to go into politics, but I will say that the Republican Party has used religion, and many other things, including the things that came out of that man that is now our president, horrible things. Yet, somehow, United States hasn't been able to elect a woman president. As you know, in Chile, we've had a woman president elected twice. In many countries in Latin America have had women presidents. So I'm very frustrated with that. And I wanted to make a book that somehow demonstrated that things are happening around us all the time, and sometimes things are very subtle. They don't hit you over the head, but if you pay attention, they're signifiers of how things work around us all the time. And it's not a political manifesto by any chance, but it deals with how human beings treat each other. It's a hopeful book. It doesn't undermine anybody in the pictures. It just questions things.
Yeah, there is a really beautiful rhythm from a lot of children, and then there are some spreads with terrific gazes, exchanges, male gaze on women, and uncanniness at its best in general. And then the very last image, which I love, that is quite apocalyptic, but in a somehow ironical way. There's nowhere, no one. I forgot the third no something. And yeah, you said it's a sort of meditation on the collapse of the American conscience and probably the American dream. But it's well, as you were saying, it's not depressing. It's actually quite blissful, and it's done in such a formal and elegant way that it still gives us hope that things can change again. Yes. And we can restart with the children and the playfulness and the happiness one day. Yes. Probably in 5 years.
I think Obama said it best. I was shocked when Obama was elected, not in a bad way. I was so happy. He used hope. Excuse me.
No, I mean, no. It's normal. We are all in the same boat with you here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So now that you started to publish your archive, we want more. Yes. And I just hope that there will be more Stanley Barker books coming out in the future.
Thank you.
This book will be signed on Saturday at 4 at the Stanley Barker booth, which is J08. And Sergio is here if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.